welcome to Fish on Fridays. I'm Al McCauley, and we are on the road again. Today we are at the National Shrine of St. Philomena. We are in Briggsville, Wisconsin. We're about 15 miles east of the Wisconsin Dells at this little gem of a place. Come on, let's go take a look. For people who come to Wisconsin, again, east of the Wisconsin Dells, you can stop at this little roadside shrine that's dedicated to St. Philomena. She's got a wonderful story I want to talk to you about a little bit today. But it's just this simple, just a simple place to come and pray and be alone with your thoughts and pray for the intercession of this wonderful, wonderful early church martyr. My beautiful wife, Katie, is filming this episode, and it was funny because when we were planning the day to come here, she had mentioned how interesting it was I had this sweatshirt on. I've worn this before in other Fish on Friday episodes, specifically about the four marks of the church, but I got this sweatshirt from good friends of ours at urbancatholic.com. They sell all kinds of cool Catholic shirts and gifts and things like that. Check them out, urbancatholic.com. But again, we're here in this small little space dedicated to St. Philomena, and here you see a likeness of her, a statue of her. I just want to talk briefly about her life, and I hope that it inspires you to check her out a little bit more. She lived in the late 3rd century, and she was martyred as a young girl. We understand that her parents were of Greek royalty, and the emperor of Rome at the time, a guy named Diocletian, had a meeting with them. And when he met Philomena, who was a young lady, early teens, he instantly fell in love with her beauty, thought she was mature beyond her years, and asked for her hand in marriage. Well, she was a Christian, and she'd already committed herself to a life of serving Christ, so she said no. And out of anger and into a rage, he wanted to have her killed, so he had her whipped. He had her, his best archers shoot arrows at her, and none of those things worked. She was instantly cured of any kind of harm that was brought upon her. The arrows that you see at the bottom of the statue, I'll show you a picture later, indicate that symbol, that symbolically indicate that kind of torture. She's seen with an anchor because he got so angry that he decided to tie her to an anchor and throw her into the sea. And an angel, it is said, came and clipped the rope so that she could get back to the surface. Eventually, out of anger, he had her decapitated. Now, none of this, we know none of this. She dies in the late 3rd century, and it's not until 1802 when there's work in Rome being done on the tomb of St. Priscilla, another early church martyr, that we find her tomb, and we find evidence of her remains. And about 20 years after that, so in the early 1800s, St. Philomena, it is said, it appeared in an image, in an apparition to a young nun, a Dominican tertiary, and Philomena told her the story. What's fascinating about this is all of this really prompted a huge devotion to St. Philomena. On the outside of the shrine, you see two statues to two men who are now saints in their own right, who prayed for her miraculous intercession, and many miracles were attributed to her. One is Pope St. Pius X, who was a pope at the early part of the 20th century, and the other is St. John Vianney, a great pope, a great priest and patron of priests. One of the ways that this statue of St. Philomena has been adorned, again, tells us a lot about her story through symbols. So as I mentioned before, Diocletian had her scourged. You see elements of torture here, the whip. You see the arrows that were meant to kill her, to pierce her, that were ineffective. And of course, you see the rope and the anchor that was tied to her when she was thrown into the sea. Ultimately, she did maintain her virginity. So you see the symbol of the lily, which is a symbol of purity and peace, but it's often associated with virginity. And then, of course, the palm branch. The palm branch is symbolic of all those martyrs, those witnesses to our faith who have earned the great reward in heaven by virtue of witnessing their love for Christ. Inside the shrine, you see several different artistic and symbolic depictions of the implements of torture that were visited upon St. Philomena. But you also see things like Mary holding the child Jesus because of her devotion to Jesus. You see the vast colors and symbols that are related to her final reward as well in heaven. And ultimately, you see the stained glass window that depicts her beheading, and the fact that she is crowned with a martyr's crown in heaven, that she did achieve her final reward by witnessing to Christ, even with her own life. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Absolutely love doing these little road trips, and I'm glad you were along for the ride. Next time you're in the Wisconsin Dells or in that area, it's worth the 10 to 15 minute drive to Briggsville, a little bit east of the Dells, to check this out. It's a very small place, but boy, it's a place of prayer, and it's just a great place to remind ourselves of our wonderful Catholic faith and the heroes like Philomena who inspire us still today. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll keep tuning in. Until next time, be good to each other, and God bless.